Chicos, ¿qué empieza? Cuenta atrás. Vea, cuenta atrás en el chat. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2...
Sir, just what are we facing here?
A relic of the old world. Ready your men, Captain. We will only get one chance. And remember, when you hear the whispers, call for help. Do not attack!
When you hear the whispers, what do you think he was on about?
It's Dorman, right?
Yeah?
Then Dorman, shut your damn mouth. Ugh, why do I always get stuck with these rookies?
Hey, the kid's got a mean cleave. Give him a chance.
Quiet.
Sullen!
A mean cleave, eh, Captain?
Se escucha bien, ¿no?
Can't even lift his
Cualquier
own.
cosita me decís y lo subo.
Captain Oren? Captain?
¿Habéis visto el detalle del hacha? ¿El diseño?
Rain! Send the signal!
What the fuck?
Rain! On my back will be blade up!
Come on, come on! I'm ready! I'm ready! It's a man!
No, it's not.
Es el personaje del teaser, el que nos han enseñado desde la Sidecom.
Run!
Captain! Captain!
¿Por qué estás aquí? La humanidad no está lista.
On your feet, lad.
¿Qué es?
Sir, the captain,
You'll be fine. Here.
What is this?
¿Es la bestia del lobo?
Get the
La bestia del lobo, ¿no?
Stop. Mortal. It can still be contained. You don't know what you have on
Your kind no longer control this world. We cannot destroy your body, it's true. But you will watch as we destroy everything you have built. Bind him! Feed. Grow, my child. I'll make sure you can eat your fill.
Tal cual es la bestia que vemos en el carro. Esa bestia la vemos. Oliver, gracias por el follow. La piel de gallina, ¿eh? Que por cierto, chicos, ya os deberían salir los drops por aquí, ¿vale? Os deberían salir los drops.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th. But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge. In this livestream, we're going to be introducing everything you can expect. So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Existence
Gameplay
is
trailer.
a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs. Some have said my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
¿Es el mod de baile por el pack? Oh, el escudo se ve súper gordo. El super árbol de pasivo. Mira eso.
We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must.
¡Wow! ¿El árbol de pasivo? ¿Era del Atlas? ¿Era eso? En plan constelación me parecía, ¿no? Como individual.
Those who obsess with
¡Qué ganas de
death,
más!
let them
Mapa de
soon be acquainted with it.
No lo parecía. Porque de acto sí que no me han enseñado mapas ya.
Now, as you just saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's actually been 5 years since we announced PoE 2, and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be available at the start of early access. Classes, character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the endgame. This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of Ogham, tempted by promises of power, intends to harness it once more. The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, and madness is spreading. Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would question him.
Aquí solo salen 6, pero se supone que son 12 clases. No se podrá girar la pantalla.
And this is where you find yourself at the start of PoE 2. Explore the dark forests of Ogham. Traverse the barren
Se ha trabado, pero no es cosa mía. No es cosa mía.
plains of the Vasteri Desert, and delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient Val city.
Es Twitch.
There are challenges
¿Por qué va así Twitch?
challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same. It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations.
Me está pasando a todo el mundo, sí, tiene
But
pinta.
first, you'll need to pick a class.
Hay
Now, early
133.000
access will
personas
initially
viendo
have
esto,
6 classes available. Let's have a look at them.
6 1000 clases en
The
Early
monk is a
Access.
fast and furious
La mitad.
melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat, and his mechanics involve building up and keeping momentum.
Dios, qué mal se ve.
Like all classes in PoE2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos. To get
Por favor, que se recupere.
new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE2. You can choose an existing.
Technical difficulties. Ya está. Es de ellos. Bueno, empezamos bien. Ay, oh my god, todo lo que hemos visto. Vale, primer dato importante. En Early Access podremos jugar 6 clases. ¿Cuántas viewers tenían? Tenían 133.000. Ahora cuando lo he mirado. A ver, 133.300 personas viéndolo. Sin contar todo lo que lo estamos viendo en otros canales. Si el lanzamiento de Poedas le va igual. Son ellos, sí, son ellos. A lo mejor estaban mandando mucha data. Estoy decapitado. Mira, un árbol de actos estaría interesante, con tal de que al final al hacerse un nuevo personaje los actos se puedan hacer ultra rápidos. No lo cheando. Yo creo que era el árbol de... Lo que hemos visto ha sido el Endgame, tal cual, porque además como que nombra algo así. Y luego enseña lo de las constelaciones, que son como árboles separados. Ese ya me genera más dudas, pero entiendo que es de Endgame también, de las mecánicas. Lástima que no podré jugar Poedos en mi tostadora. Bueno, tiempo al tiempo. A mí me intrigan mis cosméticos favoritos con más HD 4K. El día 6 esto repeta, va a haber muchísima gente jugando Early Access. Esperemos que esto sea lo único que salga mal. Podría ser de actos, como en las hipos, pero más vistoso. En el canal de Kevin le pasó igual, es que no ha sido cosa nuestra, Jin, es de ellos, por eso han puesto las dificultades técnicas. Vale, entonces ahora volverán y veremos. Marco, gracias por el follow.
Just what are we facing
Vuelven
here?
chicos, vuelven. Pero le dan para adelante. Ahí, dan para adelante.
Those who
Está dándole para
tends to
adelante.
harness.
Venga.
There are 21 active
No ha pasado
skills for
nada.
quarter staves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing where you find yourself at the start of PoE2. Explore the dark forests of Ogre, traverse the barren plains of the Vasteri Desert, and delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal, an ancient Val city. There are challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same.
Este voy ya lo
It
vimos.
falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations. But first, you'll need to pick a class. Now, Early Access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter.
Monje.
He dashes in and out of combat, and his
Cuerpo a
mechanics
cuerpo.
involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE2, you'll want to use a wide
Este
variety of
parece muy
skills to mix and
bonito,
match different combos.
Este me lo planteo para
To
empezar
get
a
new
jugar con él.
skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu,
Qué
which
bonito
shows
han
all
dejado
the
esa
active skills
pantalla
available
con
in
lo de la
PoE2.
derecha, como si fuera tal
You can
cual.
choose an existing
Una
skill to
gema.
level up, or choose to engrave a new one.
Mira qué
Since
bonito.
this is a level 7 skill gem, even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new.
Vale,
The
directamente
monk
te la da a
primarily
un nivel
uses the
determinado.
quarterstaff. There are 3 schools of martial arts: lightning, ice,
Esta es la escuela de artes
and
marciales.
wind. But don't think you have to stick to just one. The best combos are going to involve mixing elements of all 3. Let's try Killing Palm. Like many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use Killing Palm to dash to them and kill them instantly. This will provide a power charge. Then we can use a different skill to consume that power charge for a much more devastating attack. The monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a skill that places a giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, dealing damage to all enemies around it. You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes. The monk also has a variety of abilities to empower his staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use Staggering Palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles. There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks. Now, if you like a style of melee that's a little slower but hits much harder, then the warrior is for you. He pounds the ground with big chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of small enemies with large amounts of armor. Even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time. Among the skill option for maces, you will find a variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries, and shield skills. Here, I'm going to slam the ground, rending it apart with lines of fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava. I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage. The warrior can also use war cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will double any slams from your next attack. The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that for even more craziness. If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield. In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells. While holding up your shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches 100%, your stance will break and you will be vulnerable. Some enemies also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way. Using a shield also gives you access to shield skills like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them. While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front. The warrior also has access to totems. Some totems have built-in abilities, like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake. But you can also get Ancestral Warrior Totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my Ancestral Warrior Totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance. There are 20 active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on. Time for some ranged attacks. The ranger is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In PoE 2, you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility in combat. Bow skills have a variety of lightning, poison, ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets. You can also stick lightning arrows in the ground which explode when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat. Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some interesting plants. With 21 bow skills and all the mobility and combo tools the ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation. By endgame, you'll be creating hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky, bouncing around between enemies, or spraying out of tornadoes. You might have noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different. In PoE 2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot. Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types. Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a Thawing Charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters. You can gain more slots for charms by upgrading your belt.
como en las
The
infos.
mercenary wields a crossbow that can be loaded with different ammo types, offering versatility, power, and mobility.
Bueno, parecido a las
All
infos. Las
classes in
infos son
Path of
por-
Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles,
O sea, los
and even
encendedores son
grenade
universales.
launchers. But not only that, there are a wide variety of more interesting elemental ammos
Sí,
too.
porque
It's
no
very
hay
fast to
cualquier
switch between
personaje,
ammo types, so long as you already
pero
have them
como
loaded,
en uno,
which makes the
hay unas
mercenary
clases
able to
que
combo
tienden
abilities
a una
together
serie de
for
cosas.
devastating effect.
Pero que tiendan no
Use
significa que
Glacial
estés
Bolt to
obligado.
create walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to Fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison
quiero probar
enemies
primero
before
las
detonating the
lanzas.
cloud with an explosive shot for
Pero la
massive
ballesta
damage.
se ve muy chula.
If you want to call in some suppressing
Habrá
fire,
charrado, yo qué
you can
sé,
summon
algo.
artillery ballistas. These have a
Estamos
minimum
descubriendo ahora.
range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in.
¿Sabes lo mismo que yo?
There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you litter the battlefield with grenades and pepper your enemies with your automatic shotgun. If you're looking to take a backseat and let your minions do the work, then the witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies.
Es que ya vimos bastante
Occult
sobre el
skills
tema
are some
de
of the most
minions.
varied in the game, with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic. Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a spirit gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast a fire spell. For the Witch, though, we'll want to be using our Spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry
Lo
about
hemos
resummoning them
comentado
all the
antes, que
time.
reviven automáticamente a los minions. Hay algunos que no, porque
Here
son de
I'm
un
using
solo
the
uso,
skill
digamos.
screen to allocate which minions I would like in my
Pero en
horde.
general los minions,
You can
pues,
see the
se
spirit
reviven
cost
solo.
of each one. Skeletal warriors are cheap but weak, useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists.
Podemos elegir
Permanent
qué
minions come with
tipo de
special
esqueleto
active
levantar.
abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage and area of effect. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends. And if you want an even bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions. But what can a witch do while her army is at work?
Quiero ver
Well,
cuántos
she has a
minions
range of
podemos
chaos
sacar.
spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you could curse them to make them weaker so your horde can take them down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you will be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path. The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes. This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar. The elemental skills have everything you might expect and more. Fireballs, icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through it. If you place a wall and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage. It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo like this. The sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems. For example, you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with Firestorm. As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited. There are 25 active elemental skills. By endgame, you'll be firing off projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental storms on your foes. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of Early Access, but we will be adding 6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as these. There's a lot more to come. There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions. You can use all these skills on any class so long as you have the attributes. For example, a Poison Ranger might want to try out using Occult Curses to increase her poison damage, Or a monk might want to trigger elemental ice walls to use with his glacial cascade combo. The possibilities for cross-class combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find. Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build customization, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible yet. So let's talk about support gems. Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally, when you fire a grenade, it'll look like this. But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills on your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high-velocity round skill. Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage. Now, if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill. There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it, and if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now, all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies, or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide. So, speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic Path of Exile systems, the passive skill tree. Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there. Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first. But try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree. Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold. Now, the tree is generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bomb. And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time. This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes, so there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree. In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor. In addition to notables, you will also find even larger passives called keystones. Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them. A great example is Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield 2-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them. You can use a 2-hand mace with a shield, or even dual wield. Or how about Mind Over Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool, but you lose 50% of your mana regen. Skills like these can be tough to build around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding. As we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree.
¿Veis?
For the sorceress, you might want to change between
Una
fire
pasiva que
and
se
lightning
aplica al arma
specialization.
principal o al arma secundaria y dependiendo del ataque que
Or you could
lances,
switch between one
se
hand
usa
and a
un
two-hand
arma u
setup
otra.
in order to be able
Recordad
to
que se
block
llama
boss
explicar.
attacks while following up with heavy hits from your bigger mace. Or perhaps you could
arma
have a
u
full
otra y una
curse setup on
pasiva
your
u otra.
witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage. If you want to stick with just one weapon set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like, but creative players will find plenty of opportunities with this system. You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book.
Son unos puntos
There are lots of other
específicos.
permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map, you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have
Mapa de
permanent character
actos.
boosts, and others have powerful items. If you're having
qué
trouble
pone
getting
seis
past a
actos y
boss,
luego
it
tres?
might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find.
Ponía acto del
For
1 al
example,
6 y luego
if you
1,
defeat
2 y 3.
Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important
El oro
finds
va
are
sumando,
spirit
sí.
bonuses.
Se
You
recoge
can
solo
find
el
the
oro.
first one here in the canopy in Act 1.
Como puede uno.
Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of Spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from Spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each
Échasela a
act.
Derly.
Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of
veremos.
character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right? Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal,
grupo de
magic,
rareza.
rare, and unique.
Lo mismo que en Puede Uno.
One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is
Currency.
upgrade the
Ojo a
items you
esto porque
find,
cambia de
and you can
Puede
do
Uno.
that with currency items.
Exalted.
An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with one mod.
Augmentation,
You
le
can
añade
then
un
apply an Orb of
modificador.
Augmentation to add a second mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a
Las
third
demás
mod,
más raro, ¿vale?
and upgrade it
Esas
to a
más o menos
rare.
igual.
Finally, you can use some
Exalta
Exalted
añade
Orbs to add
uno.
more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods.
Pues estas los has mantenido igual al final. Que
One of the
decían que
things we
van a
think is
cambiar.
really important is to make these
Estas no las han
options
cambiado.
available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more
Que vamos
common,
a poder
you
hacer
can
las
also
mejoras
get them
con
by
más frecuencia,
disenchanting
porque tiene más
unwanted gear at the
currency.
magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an Orb of Transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to Regal Orbs. Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance. This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage.
Le he añadido
If you
una
find
runa a
socketed
la
items that you
ropa
don't
para
have a use
añadir
for, you
modificadores.
can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an artificer's orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest
my
of your
God.
armor and one-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to
Vale,
increase the quality of your
convertirlo en
items for an up to
quality
20%
O
boost.
Artificer Sard.
If you don't want to
Curioso.
disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful. Every time you level up, they get more
El oro
stock,
se puede
so make
utilizar
sure to
para
check
los
back
NPCs.
often.
Sí, esto no lo dijeron
Other
también.
vendors offer a gamble. Pay a
Para los
flat
ítems
amount
de
of gold and you'll
campaña,
get a random
para
item
que
of
la
a specific
currency
type.
que nos cae
This could be a
sea
great way to
para
improve your
craftear.
gear, if you're lucky. Gold
El
is
oro es lo
also
que gastamos
used to
en NPCs.
respec your passive skills. Take advantage of the system
un
to
botón
experiment
para
with your tree
identificar
and
los
rework it
ítems,
as
sin
required.
necesidad de usar scroll.
The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange.
Alba.
This allows you to exchange currency items with other players on an open
Currency
market
chain,
in exchange for
el
a
que ya
small gold
conocemos de
fee.
Gente Los Calgur.
Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold. Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't: uniques. They are especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character.
Incrementado modo en speed al random.
Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison.
Speed.
The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes. And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine,
trailer será
like
fusión
Quill
con
Ring,
pura, se vuelve
which just
otra
turns your
vez,
bow
sí, en
attacks into
principio sí,
full auto
pero-
by doubling your
pero
attack speed.
veremos.
Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
Qué bonito los
The
diseños.
last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is
Ascensión.
Ascension.
Por fin vamos a hablar de las
Starting in
ascensiones,
Act
chicos.
2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests
Prueba
that
de
you must
ascensión.
complete to
Vale,
unlock
trías.
your Ascension class. We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique
Vale.
to each character class, so
En
choose
Early
wisely.
Access solo va
They
a
can
haber
drastically
dos
affect how you
ascendencias.
build your
Y
character.
luego cada clase tendrá 3. Pero en el Early
As a
serán solo
sorceress,
dos.
you could become a Stormweaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell. With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper
Bueno,
into the tree, you can make
ascendencia de
all your
eléctrico.
damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself.
Chronomancer.
She
Controla el
literally has the
tiempo.
ability to stop time with Time
cómo
Freeze.
mola.
Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities. Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again. On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems.
Espíritus ancestrales.
With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
Te encierran en
Warcaller's
jade.
Bellow allows you to explode the
Para
corpses of your
protegerte.
enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can
Explotas
ignore the cooldowns of your war
cuerpos.
cries.
Ignora
Let
los
all that
cooldowns de
anger
la
out.
Warcry.
The Titan class is all about hitting big.
Y el titán.
With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock.
Ascensor.
With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With
Qué guapo el
Surprising
boss este,
Strength,
¿no? El miniboss.
you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal
Ese
40% more
control.
damage.
Los drones están activos y son 90
As a
minutos
ranger,
de
you might choose to
visualización.
be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with
Vale,
style.
guardabosque.
With endless munitions, every attack gains an extra projectile. With Gathering Winds, she gains a small
Gathering
increase to
Winds?
movement speed with every
Ya no
attack.
está igual, no son
But be careful,
skill.
she
Pierdes
loses them
cuando
when getting
haces
hit.
skill.
With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting
No
all those
tienes
passive points on
penalización de
accuracy.
acuracia en distancia.
Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison.
Y esta
She
es
can
de
choose from one of
cortisma,
several
¿ves?
throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage. Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault allows her to move much more quickly while firing, while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist
Qué
gets
guapo
hit.
el perrete.
With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using
guapo,
Bringer
¿no?
of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies. She can also transform into a literal demon.
Ya está.
While in
bendito.
demon form, she takes an
Quiero
increasing
jugar
amount of
esto.
damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a blood mage, a master of life and energy. All blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an invoker.
¿Qué quiero usar yo? A
With
ver.
elemental expression, the invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the blizzard or I am the thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I shall rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain unbound fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well. Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter.
Mercenario.
Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting
Esto lo
spells as
iremos
often
viendo
as they
poco a
would
poco
usually
los
do.
próximos días, que hay mucha
You
información.
could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you
parece muy
extra skill
divertido.
slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes,
No
while
pasa nada si no
Crystalline
estáis viendo
Potential adds extra
ascendencias.
quality bonuses to
Recordad
every
que
gem socketed
después
into your
faltará una
character.
ascendencia más por cada clase.
So those are the Ascendancy classes for the start of Early Access.
Solo hay dos
But one
en
thing we
Early
haven't
Access,
talked about
pero
yet
tenemos
is how
tres.
you ascend in the first place. Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the great
Ascension
trials,
Trials.
which you'll find as you
Requiere
progress
la
through the
finalización de
campaign.
las grandes pruebas que
Each
encontrará
one is
en
associated
campaña.
with one of the major cultures of Rayclast.
Está asociado con una de las
Located in the
principales
Vasteri
culturas.
Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. The highest position in Maraketh culture is a Sekima,
A ver, tienen
and
que
it is
haberlo
not a
revolcado de
title
alguna
given
manera.
freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin,
Vale, que
and
cada
you are no
trial
different.
está asociado a una cultura y te pedirá cosas diferentes, digamos, ¿no?
Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed on the relic altar to begin the trial.
Es el altar de reliquias.
In the Trial of the Sekimas, each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its
Cada
blood
habitación
to the
tiene sus
chalice in the
propios
center of the
desafíos a
room.
superar.
Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed.
Todo lo que mates enviará la sangre al cáliz.
While fighting monsters in the
Si está lleno,
trial,
puedes
you will need to be
continuar.
very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again. It is a good idea to make sure that you are well prepared before
Han
challenging the Trial
convertido
of
a
the Sekimas.
Santos en el nuevo lapa.
After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests
Después
later
de
in
cada
the
habitación
trial.
será recompensado.
Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to proceed. Which challenges would you like to face, and which rewards do you want to claim? Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial. For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked
Es
Shell
tal
that will
cual.
cause all monsters in the rest of the
Contaron
trial
las
to have
cosas que menos
50%
me
increased
gustan.
life. You will want to take
Me
care
parece
if you choose
maravilloso.
such a path.
Entiendo
There are
que no
many
serán
different
tan
challenges and
brutos como
rewards as you
Santos,
journey through the trial. Deadly
porque al
traps,
final tienes que conseguir tu
waves of
ascendencia.
monsters,
Y cualquier clase
and
debe
strange
poder hacerlo
artifacts will
bien.
test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the djinn,
Las
which will
boons
help
están
you on your
guau,
journey.
qué santo.
For example, the Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die,
Maravilloso.
giving you a second shot at a run. One of the rewards you may find is sacred water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Maraketh. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions. At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your
Santo? No
limitations.
entendí.
In order to ascend,
Que
you will
Santo
need to
viene el
defeat
nuevo
him.
lab, Andrew. Han mezclado labs y Santo y ahí tenemos las nuevas pruebas de ascendencia.
Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor.
Yo espero que funcione con
We
tu
only
vida.
have a single
Han
bronze
dicho
key,
que hay
so we'll
un
just
honor
have to open one of
que
these
vas
small
perdiendo,
chests.
pero veremos cómo
If you want to
funciona.
open the better ones, you'll need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of
Qué
Ascendancy.
bonito, ¿eh?
Your first ascension
verdad.
will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Sekimus, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on
Puedes
Raycast
elegir la
have their
prueba
own
que
methods to
desees
ascend.
para ganar tu
If the
ascensión.
Trial of the Sekimus is not
Ojo.
your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too
Si la
difficult,
prueba
you could try
del
another.
otro no es tu
You can gain
estilo,
all
puedes
your
hacer
ascension
otro.
points from just one, or mix and
Bueno,
match
bueno.
them. It's
¿Que
up
no
to
te
you.
gusta Santum? Hay
For
otra
early
manera de
access, we will
ascender.
have 2 trials as options, with a third trial coming later for the full release. While
Que habrá una
exploring the
tercera
Vaal
prueba más
jungle, you'll
adelante.
discover the Temple of Chaos.
Pero ahora han puesto
Before
dos
the
para
Vaal
probar.
embraced the science of
Mira.
corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vaal to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vaal must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master.
Vale, tenemos
For those
tres.
in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe
Vale,
an
tenemos
ultimatum.
Santum y tenemos la de Ultimatum.
Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished.
Dos pruebas
Will you be
habrá
able to
en
defy the
Rebelde,
odds?
parece.
Before you begin each chamber,
Dos
the
formas
Trial
de
Master will
ascender.
offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the player, or add environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes. In this case, we will be picking shocking turrets.
Torretas. Vamos, que meten las mecánicas como
As you
trial.
enter the room, the
Una
Trial
por cada
Master will
cultura,
fill it
han
with
dicho,
hazards
pero
to
que
test
por
your
ahora iba a haber
commitment.
dos. Pero
In
sí,
this
me
case, you
parece
must
curioso.
destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
Oye, me gusta el sistema. Y que puedas ascender con el que más te guste. Eso también está guay. Que no estés obligado a una cosa, ¿no? Que tengas opciones. Tenemos una escape para Andrew. No, porque tiene relación con las antiguas civilizaciones.
After each room, you will need to make a choice. Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack
que
on
haber
top of
una
each
prueba
other and
Karui.
can become overwhelming.
Una prueba Karui con...
There are many types of chambers in the trial. Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time.
Entonces, básicamente, es la
Another
mecánica
requires you to
Ultimatum
escort
por
the
ahora.
stone idol through the
Pero en
level as
salas,
elevators full of
es
monsters
chulo.
descend to attack you. Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined with the
El orden de los
tribulations you have
jefes es
selected, the
aleatorio.
fight will never feel the same.
La pelea nunca se sentirá igual.
After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course, there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Sekimus, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your Ascendancy class. Now, it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to Endgame. So how about we talk about that now?
Estructura del juego.
So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but
Solo
some
estamos
people would
mostrando
argue that
imágenes
the
de
endgame
campaña.
is where the game truly begins. Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough endgame content. Well, we want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel that way. And we actually only changed our development priority for this recently.
Que quiere que tengan
The first 3
suficiente
acts of
cosita.
PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new
Del
player.
acto 1 al 3
This is
son
already a
25
pretty
horas.
significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad
Nos dimos
idea.
cuenta de terminar el resto de la
Instead of
campaña
having
para
acts 4 to
leerlo,
6 in
era una
early
mala
access,
idea.
we could concentrate on endgame and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour
Vale, pues
campaign is
entonces,
already a huge
3
game with
actos
lots
y
of
endgame.
content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the endgame challenges to overcome.
25 horas
So
aproximadas.
several months ago, we
calcula.
switched the
Tenemos
entire
luego, ¿no?
development team's focus over to making endgame content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early
Tenemos
access
contenido
and
que
into release.
duplicará el tamaño del juego
Now, in order
durante
to make
el
the
early y
endgame
antes del
happen at the same character
lanzamiento.
level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Cruel, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. You can kind of think of it as like a new game plus.
Que durante el early le ponen
It's also a lot
3
faster to
actos
get
en
through the
normal y
content the
3
second
actos en
time as your
cruel,
player speed increases.
simplemente
That will take you to
hasta
around level
que lancen el
65, where
resto
the
de
endgame
actos.
begins. Once we add the remaining 3 acts,
Y
we'll
en
be
el lanzamiento
removing
tienes
Cruel
6
difficulty,
actos y endgame.
so you'll progress
Vale.
straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame.
Tiene sentido.
But what is the endgame?
Endgame.
To explain that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2 we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through. This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions. Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight
Vamos a
it.
ver demasiada
In the
trama.
center of the Atlas, you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing
Fundamentos de
corruption
espacio y
and
tiempo.
finding
Y
resources.
podemos abrir portales.
In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected. All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to
Todas las
11.
áreas de
The
endgame
monster
son
packs you will face
diferentes
in
de
each
la
map are
campaña.
totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations. There are
Alguien
over
vaya a la gente de la
400
equipo y
monster
le
types
empieza
in
la
early
frente.
access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful
Bonita la
rare
forma
and
de
unique
demonio,
enemies in
¿verdad?
it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items. You can also find strong boxes. These enigmatic chests guard piles of treasure, but are always a trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells or dangerous debuffs. There are different types of strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the content. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
¡Qué guapo! En vez de aparecer porque sí, se han ido generando.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in essences, solidified crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category. For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod. Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod.
Salvador del comercio, se ha visto el intercambio de currency que hemos tenido en Setero Carbur, por ahora no han dicho nada más.
This is incredibly powerful since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects. Combining these with the
Oh,
currencies
que
that
lo
are commonly
añade.
found in Rayclast for
Lo
modifying
añade y
items,
está.
and we can get a
Ay.
very nice pair of boots indeed.
Dios.
Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items. Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards, while suffix mods increase danger.
Vale, el waystone
The more
simplemente
dangerous a
la
map
piedra
is,
es a lo que
the
pone
more
los
waystones
roles
will
para el
drop.
mapa. Vale.
Adding mods to your waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining
En vez
them,
de rolear un
but
mapa,
it will
roleas
require
la
you to take on
waystone.
larger challenges.
Y la waystone va por tiers,
There
fijaros.
are a variety of factors you have to consider when crafting your
waystone de
waystones.
tier uno.
Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear, and others more open. Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas
Lo que
tree.
no sé si estará en el Atlas.
This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the endgame. You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit, and invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own personal base of operations. A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things to find, so keep looking. Some sections of your atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations. You may have noticed while looking at the atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities. It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the Atlas skill tree. The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them. For each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the endgame systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might be familiar with Breach. For PoE 2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower. This makes all the content in the atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer. Often you will find multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets. In your fight to hold the breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each endgame mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach is no different. In Breach you will find catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mods. You can also find Breach Rings, a special base type that can have its quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing breach monsters, you may find breach splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a breach stone. Using a Vaal technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your breach stone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants.
Aventurarse a profundizar aquí. Pero no para casual. Es amigable para los nuevos, pero no amigable para los casual.
And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
Qué bonito, la brecha remorqueada. Decía falsa ya. Las manos que nos van a dar. Son las manos. ¡Qué guapo!
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you'll have to discover them for yourself. Rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made. All these encounters have specific uniques that can only be found from them, but that's not all. We still have the progression system. Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Night, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands, and inflict you with a mysterious demon. In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds. Defeating Zesht at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed, but there are many more threats in Rayclast. Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. If you encounter this symbol on the Atlas, then you know that the area contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will feed the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual. The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive. The tribute you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you'll be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for meta crafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mods you don't want while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with different effects, but we will leave them for you to discover. Now don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more rituals. If you want to get to the pinnacle boss of Ritual, then you will probably want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the ritual section of the Atlas tree. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A mysterious entity has taken a special interest in you. Step through the looking glass and you will find your nightmares coming to life. When you touch a mirror, the mists of delirium will spread out across the area, infecting your mind. You must stay within the mist to maintain the nightmare, which is as profitable as it is terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you. The mist also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining an extra passive point for free, attached to your gear. They are also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get. Distilled emotions can also be used to instill your in-game maps, applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards, allowing you to further juice your in-game maps. The tablets you can find from Delirium can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your own memories. Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on, facing up against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying. If you can complete a simulacrum, you will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition. Occasionally, while clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers. The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts. You can also find remnants, the destruction of which will further anger the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives, while this one increases the number of remnants you will find. Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of buried treasure and relics. Essentially, one giant dig site. Here, you can create an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful, many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could easily make the encounter harder than you can handle. There are all sorts of interesting things buried under the ground in logbooks. You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches. But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree. So those are the in-game systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to Endgame 2. Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore. Each floor has its own challenging rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
Vemos que antes, pruebas de ascendencia para el game.
There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame. The Trial of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree, so it's possible to gain a lot of power here. There are also other types of jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes in radius by 25%. With careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself. In order to push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of course, you can craft these with your currency items, making them even stronger. If you can complete the entire trial overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with one of many unique relics. These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run. The Trial of Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random mysterious outcomes. Corruption prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft, but it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might re-roll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have. A body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods. Val Orbs can even modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful, but there is a good chance that you will break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Val sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes. Like all endgame content, there is of course a pinnacle boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this mysterious door. Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2. While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing something from getting in? Or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber-Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting the city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is.
Dos
This is
jefes y
Path
el
of
jefe
Exile.
final,
There is
entendido.
always another tree.
So these are your challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge, way bigger than even we expected when we started out. But how do you gain access? Well, during early access you'll need a key to get in. To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one
Vale,
can
si
get one by
has gastado más de
purchasing one of the new
480
early access
dólares
supporter packs that have
estadounidenses,
just been released to the store.
Tendrás acceso.
If you just want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the $30 early access pack. The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store.
300 puntos,
But we
30
also have a
dólares,
variety of other
solo
supporter packs
acceso.
filled with exclusive microtransactions, points to spend in the store, and even physical items. The cosmetics can be used right now in
Uy,
PoE
Hikaru
1 and in
mola,
Path of
pero
Exile
son
2
un
when
poco
early access
sosos
starts.
algunos.
Most of this footage has been recorded in Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately. The Lord of Ogham supporter pack contains a cosmetic armor set befitting of the Count of Ogham himself. There is also a matching back attachment which has an alternate variant depicting the influence of corruption.
La corrupción,
Also
qué
in
chulo.
this pack you can find a portal formed of the rusted armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red Veil of Ogham, and the
Los
offspring of a
esperaba más
vicious
impresionantes, la
crowbar
verdad.
boss found in the hunting grounds.
¡Ay, cómo
This one doesn't
mola!
look so vicious though.
¡Ay! ¡Qué bonito!
On top
Me
of that,
gusta
you'll receive the
mucho.
Iron Count's Y-hander to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and tales of Path of Exile's history, you will also get a series of hideout statues. This pack
Estatua de
contains the
Fidel?
statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi.
Kiwi.
Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet. The pet will
Qué
loyally follow you
bonito.
into battle, but run away at the first sign of
Kiwi.
trouble. Become the ruler of the desert with the King of the Faradin supporter pack. Show your mastery of traversing the sands of the Vasteri Plains. The body armor will allow you to glide along the ground with
Hostia.
ancient sand magic. Now each armor set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet, but the boots are covered in sand. If you'd prefer to show them off, you can turn the
Puedes
gliding off if
caminar
you
o
want.
planear.
The accompanying back attachment equips you with two powerful pillars that can control and manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing lightning between them, forming a barrier of energy. Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faradin's Glory skin. Or replace the appearance of a spear with the Tyranny's End spear skin.
Armas, vale, skin de armas.
This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1. If you want to truly show your worth as a king of the Faradin, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought to travel across the Vasteri Plains. In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout however you like, and it's no exception here. It comes with a variety of thematic elements to use, or use decorations from
Es un
elsewhere in the game.
video móvil.
Additionally, you will get the Deshret's Blessing level up effect. The King of the Faradin Kiwi pet,
Eso entendido que es un video, luego lo vemos bien.
and last but not least, a statue
que un
depicting the
video sí,
Vile
pero ¿verdad?
Oversoul from Path of Exile 1.
El balón
For
de
those who don't
sol.
know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all of the cosmetics from the previous tier,
Cada paquete
so you'll get all the
funciona-
items
le
from
da
the
todo
Lord of
lo
Ogham
anterior,
supporter pack as well.
como siempre.
The Thaumaturge of the Vile supporter pack features an armor set and
Hostia.
back attachment themed around the Vile and their pursuit of science and progress. You can find the Soul Core weapon effect in this pack, which causes thaumaturgic energy harnessed from sacrifice to spill from your weapon. This pack also contains Doryani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient relic once used by Doryani, and this can be applied to shields in Path of Exile 1. That's not the only Vile weapon you'll find. It also contains the Wand of the Thaumaturge skin, and the Royal Sacrifice Dagger skin. You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Vile did. Thaumaturge of the Vile supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Vile Kiwi pet, and the Statue of Dominus. This is also the first pack in the series with a physical item. When purchasing this pack, you'll receive a Path of Exile 2 logo t-shirt, but if you don't want one, you can opt out and return for additional points to spend in the store. Becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter will grant you an armor set and back attachment, adorned in jade carvings and iridescent
Acabo de
feathers
llegar, es
resembling
interesante
power.
destacar mucho.
Enough to even
O sea, no hay
impress the
forma de
ancestral
resumírtelo.
gods, specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war. Overkill, you say? I think the Karui people would disagree.
Quiero todo.
Why not drop a gigantic totem on rare enemies you slay to crush them to a pulp?
Algo interesante,
Replace your
dice.
crafting bench in your hideout with the Ancestral Canoe crafting bench, where Ancestral Chief Mata will summon a giant canoe manned by Karui warriors to aid in your crafting desires.
We must all start somewhere.
You'll also get a pair of weapon skins. Equip Akoya's Felling Axe skin to your one-hand or two-handed axes, or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed masons.
Después del resumen en YouTube de Chibi. Yo tardaré un poquito más.
A true Karui warlord is always accompanied by their trusty Kiwi. Equipped with armor and harnessing ancestral magic, they make the perfect sidekick. Once one of the most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful exile. May the statue commemorate the virtue of exiles past, present, and of the future. Of course, it's not all about dressing up in game. You'll want to look good in real life too. By becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter, you'll also get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of Rayclast supporter pack. The Liberator of Rayclast armor set and back attachment come made with the finest materials in Rayclast, and shattered glass mosaics suspended in divine power.
Es muy clarito para mi gusto.
Set up your base of operations in the Beacon of Salvation hideout. Why restrict yourself to just one island when you can liberate more? The Beacon of Salvation hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal operators of boats that you can use to row between them. Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter, and navigate as you choose. Decorate each island as you see fit to best represent your well-earned hideout. Everyone in your hideout can use their own boat. Why not have some races? You can also get the Window to Twilight portal effect, a beautiful mosaic piece of art that shatters and reveals a gateway to your desired destination as you approach it. As you walk away, the glass magically reforms back to its original form.
Qué bonito portal.
Rule in style with the Throne of the Ruler map device. Sure, this map device can create portals to in-game maps, but it also comes with a throne you can sit on to oversee your growing kingdom. Look down on the plebeians running your maps. Being the Liberator, though, is not just about sitting in your throne all day. If you do decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a High Priest in charge as your second in command. Liberator of Rayclast supporters will also get a set of varied weapon skins. The Light of Divinity Scepter skin, the Deliverance Crossbow skin,
Las armas cambian
the
dependiendo.
Justice Flail skin,
Cada una
and the
skin.
Redemption Shield skin. Once again, you'll have an accompanying Kiwi, and of course a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history. The battle between a powerful exile
la
and
estatua
Kitava,
del
the
Kitava,
Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence, the exile was able to defeat him once and for all. This supporter pack also contains the Path of Exile 2 art book. This 215-page full-color art book includes a huge amount of amazing
alguien me
concept
lo
art
quiere
and lore
regalar.
produced during the long and exciting journey of Path of Exile 2's development. And finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of letting the community participate in designing game features. For Path of Exile 2, we'll be adding the Twilight Order Foil Reliquary.
¿Cuánto sale el último? Creo que 280.
By becoming a Liberator of Rayclast supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the reliquary. Once players have submitted their items, keys to the reliquary will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of uniques that you have submitted, along with a message for the lucky player. The more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the reliquary to drop them, so choose wisely.
Vale.
Now, almost all of these items are available to
El tema
use
de
in
la que
PoE
yo
1 right now. There are a few
31
exceptions where the item
está
class
más
clearly
barato
doesn't
que solo
exist,
te incluye
such as
la clave
crossbows
y
or
300
flails.
puntos.
And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access.
Ahora lo repasamos,
Once
¿vale?
classes
Todo.
that use those weapon types are added, those microtransactions will be available to use. If you can't decide which supporter pack to choose yet, you can always start with the early access supporter pack that just includes a key and some points to spend in the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access. We'd
Están
really like to thank you for your
disponibles
ongoing
durante todo
support.
el acceso
Without you guys,
anticipado.
Path of Exile 2 could not have happened.
Los supporter
Now,
packs.
I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Stick
Vale,
around,
y empieza
because